Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 56 of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job matters. And it really does. And I say this every episode, especially since we came up with the catchphrase. But when I think about it, we spend way more time off the job than we do on the job. And we tend to not want to celebrate that. We tend to not want to highlight that. And I just saw before I started this recording, I was on social media because, that's what we all do. Let's all not pretend like we don't sit here all day like this, because that's what we do. It's right there. And one of my former guests was kind of telling a little bit of his story and just talking about spending that time off the job and how important it was. And I'm excited today because my guest is in a field that I am moderately familiar with, but not really a pro at, like, at all. So he's going to hopefully shed some light on what it is he does when he's not in the firehouse and what he does when he is in the firehouse too. So Jake Levesque, welcome to the Size Up, man. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. And if you're watching on YouTube, which I know I say this, I know a lot of you are listening, but Jake just has this awesome setup behind him of just not really fire stuff, definitely not fire stuff, but just a cool background. And I'm really jealous of the fact that I don't have a cool background like you, I feel like.
Oh, you're getting there. You got the black wall, so you're already stepping up a little bit.
Right. Well, also too, when I designed this office or whatever you want to call it, where I do my podcast from, it was not to do podcast. It was just to be a place to throw all my crap.
Right. You'll see. You'll change it like every few months. You're going to find something else to do with it.
It's already, if you've paid it again, if you've been watching, you'll see the desk is moving slowly down. Like everything is going this way a little bit in it. So I'm trying to get a better background. But let the folks know, who you are, where you're from, what it is you do, and that kind of stuff, how we kind of met.
Sure. My name is Jake Levesque. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, or just north of Boston. I've been a fireman for about 26 years. I joined the military and became a fireman in the Air Force. And then I got hired at, well, you really can't say Area 51. It's called the Nevada Testing Training Range. I was a fireman out there for about 3 years under a private contract. Then I got hired with the city of North Las Vegas as a fireman, and I've been with them for 18 years now. But as of 2 years ago, because of the video production background that I started in 2016, that allowed me to get the public information officer position with the North Las Vegas Fire Department. So for this May will be 2 years I've been the PIO for what we call Northtown.
And that is a full-time job off the rig, doing your own PIO stuff.
I went from the 48 on, 96 off to Monday through Thursday, 10-hour days. But because a big part of my job is the social media part, now my job is 7 days a week.
For sure. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, it's nonstop.
And I think too, we can just, even before we get into more your background, be more on the PIO subject, because I have not had a PIO on the podcast yet. That job 10 years ago was very different than it is now due to that social media part.
It is. I'd have to say 45 to 55% of my job now is social media. And because I have a fire chief that is so forward in social media, he allowed me just to take it over and do what I want. And in the process, we actually revolutionized recruiting with social media, where before I got hired, we could only get about 100 applicants. This application period alone, in the first 3 months, we were up to 1,000 applicants.
Oh my God. And all because of social media.
Right. And everyone that we interview says the same thing. We see how you are in social media. And like their number one saying is, you guys have fun, but you look like you train hard too. We want to be with North Las Vegas.
And that's awesome too, because you do have, I guess, to the south of you, a bit of a larger department and city, I would imagine, right? They probably dwarf you guys, or no?
Well, we have the city of Las Vegas, Clark County Fire Department, Henderson Fire Department, and Boulder, all within the same valley. But the good thing is, between Clark County, which are the yellow fire trucks, if you've ever been to Vegas, and the city of Las Vegas, as well as us, we do not mutual aid. It's basically the closest unit. We share responsibilities. So if we have a fire station on the border of the city of Las Vegas, the closest unit will go. Borders don't matter. Borders do not matter in our.
Can you say that again? Because that's a genius statement. That oh my God, the house across the street's on fire. We're gonna go put it out, not sit here and wait for someone to call me.
And that's the same for medical calls as well. Um, it doesn't matter. Closest unit will always get it. The only fire department that doesn't do that is Henderson. They're a little bit more south of us. And I mean, if it was an actual someone dying, I'm sure they would do it, but they don't run in the same dispatch center as us as of now.
And that too, you're all dispatched from the same place, which probably makes
Everyone
it
but
even
Henderson and
okay.
Boulder. Yep. So,
Which again is that forward thinking, kind of like your chief with social media, however long ago that they started that, to be like, we can make this better if we work
right.
together.
Yeah. And the bigger department pays for the bigger chunk of it. The small departments pay a little part. So we're all chipping our money in together. So, eventually, hopefully we get Henderson in on it, because it just, when you think of Las Vegas, you don't think of Clark County, Las Vegas, North Las Vegas. Technically,
So
we're all just one big bowl.
just for the record on the podcast, I have been to Las Vegas several times. I have not spent much time outside in Las Vegas when
No,
I
in
was
the
there.
casinos.
So I know what the inside of a lot of places look like. And maybe I crossed a street or two once or
Right.
twice.
Well,
But
that's good.
that
Once you get to
area,
North Las Vegas, we're the rough area. That is, over the last 10 years, we've went from the rough gang area to, actually, we're just like a prosperous city. We have industry has just been coming left and right. We probably have 15 Amazon facilities. Our restaurant row is all growing. It's basically, the crime is actually going down, and the city's finally getting to be a really good city.
which is awesome. That's an awesome
Yeah.
part to be in and an awesome part to see when you get to see that kind of success story happening. And I know there's stats out there that like Las Vegas is one of the fastest growing areas in the country, I believe, for residential
Yes.
structures.
Yes. And the, 21 years that I've been here now, it's you, every time you turn a corner, you see another stick farm going up. So the building is always just going and going and going.
Which again, on in our careers, on the fire side, new construction generally means less fires, except while they're constructing that new
Right.
construction, we tend to have
Right.
larger fires while that's happening.
Right.
But with that influx of people is just medical call on top of medical call on top of medical call.
Yeah. Which we don't like as firefighters, but we're actually a transporting department now for the last 5 years now. And so we get the brunt of that.
Oh, so that had to
And
be a
as
big
well as when a,
changeover too.
yeah. And when a new neighborhood goes in, normally we would, need a fire station around it. So like our fire station 58, which is being built right now, is actually being built by the builders. And
Which
we've had
again,
other fire
forward
stations,
thinking, right?
right? And
We
other
want to build here.
yeah, other builders have bought us fire apparatus before. As soon as they hit a certain number of houses built, they would buy us a new engine.
So they're basically keeping up with the insurance
Mhm.
status of we build houses.
Yes.
This is how we can help you get in here to keep building houses.
Yep.
Which
So
that too, it's not just your fire chief, but that is a great government like fire department working together partnership there.
yeah, fire department, city leadership, and being here 21 years, or with North Las Vegas for 18 years, I've seen the influx of leadership come in and out. And right now, we just have great leadership all around.
Which is a huge part of that collaboration. And that is, again, I feel like it's a constant theme of the Size Up. Whoever I have on, we get into some kind of a collaboration talk,
Mhm.
whether it's what they do off the job or how their job works. It just sounds like yours is working right now. It's humming along in good collaboration.
It really is. And it's funny too, because now that I'm the PIO, I spend time with the politicians here and there, helping them out, or they'll come to some of the events we put on. And when you're sitting at the kitchen table at the firehouse, everything they do is wrong. But when you actually have the conversation with them and listen to them, you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Maybe I didn't quite put that on the table when we were talking and when I was, you know, bitching up a storm,
At
but
3 a.m. with a
I
cup of
get it.
coffee, very
And then
angry
I'll
at
go back
you.
to the firehouse and try to explain, well, they're actually doing it like this. And they're like, get out of here. Go away, PIO.
Be like, but I really saw it. Look, go watch this social media clip, which probably gets you
Right.
thrown out even faster. But that too, that's another part of probably what it is you do as the PIO is highlighting those collaborations and those partnerships. And maybe not just that the politicians showed up at an event you had, but they participated in some way and
Yes.
they got to experience it, right?
Yeah. And then whenever because public outreach is the other part of my job. So, and we have the greatest public outreach. Like Man, our department, I'd say we're probably top 10 in the country with public outreach. We're doing events every other week. We're really trying to get the community involved. And a lot of these politicians that we're working with now, whether we invite them or they'll say, hey, that's a great event. And they'll ask if they can come to our next one. And
And
yeah,
that's a
it's
big
just
thing
a
too.
great relationship.
Social media wise is cultivating that relationship, like
Yes.
where I am here in the East Coast, we're not far from New York City.
Mhm.
And they have a huge lithium ion battery problem there right now. Just the way the city is set up, the way folks can get themselves around, let's
Mhm.
say, and it's causing them to have a great deal of lithium ion battery fires. I feel like the FDNY social media accounts are not just highlighting the problem, but trying to explain why it shouldn't be, trying to
Right.
educate people on why you shouldn't do things this way.
Right. Yeah, and that's like the other power of social media. You can use it for recruitment. You can use it to highlight the fun you have for hiring. You can use it for PSAs. It's like, how much does it cost to put a PSA on a TV network on one of the, one of the local channels? It's probably like 5 to 10 grand to get a 5 second segment on in between the news cycle. Your social media is free.
And nobody's watching the news cycle anyway anymore,
Exactly.
unless you're in a firehouse and you have the local news on
Yeah.
the TV 24
Yeah.
7, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a demographic. It's like if you're above 65, you're on Facebook and the local news, and anything below that, you're on Instagram through all the way to TikTok.
And even too, it gives you that instant notification system,
Hmm.
where you see a lot of departments like, a storm is coming, or I know we use it in my department for our code blue,
Hmm.
that, the code blue shelters are open, just as a basic thing that we put out. But, or like, again, a storm is coming, roads are closed, there's fire department activity in this area, please avoid it.
Right. Yeah.
And who would have thought? And I guess this is a good way to kind of circle back, because I don't think your forward-thinking fire chief just was like, "Hey, who wants to be the PIO? Raise your
Right.
hand." They probably knew you had a little something happening there in the tank on the back end. So,
Yeah.
how did your end of digital media start, or when did it start even?
So back in 2016, me and my wife just went through a lot of stuff trying to have a child, and it didn't work out for us. So we decided, like, okay, maybe we weren't meant to be parents, and let's just try to live life to the fullest and be the best aunt and uncle we can be to all our friends' kids. And that was going fine for a while, but working that 48-96 schedule, you have a lot of time off. You have a lot of time to be in your own head. So I needed an outlet. And I'm a pretty athletic person, and I used to do handstands and all this gymnast stuff. And I was like, I think I'm going to buy a drone, do handstands on cliffs, and go viral. Well, I bought the drone, the
That is
handstands on
such a
cliffs,
fireman story right
right?
there. Like
Yeah,
not
right,
like I'm gonna buy a drone and try to go viral, or like I'm gonna
right.
just try to eat a lot of food and go viral. I'm gonna do handstands on cliff
On a
edges
cliffs, right?
while videoing myself with a drone. I love it. Love every minute
Yeah,
of it, man. How'd that
yeah.
work out
And
for you?
my wife told me I used to skydive all the time too. My wife's like, I don't want you to skydive anymore. So I was like, all right, well, handstands with a drone. That's what it's going to be.
This is so much safer. I'm not that close to the edge. I can make it
Yeah,
look like I'm right on the edge with the drone. I
exactly.
swear.
But anyways, I
I
got the
too, sir, am
drone.
married. I too, sir, am married and have an adrenaline type issue, so I understand how these conversations can go.
Yeah, right. Some people just don't have that switch. Firemen do not have that off switch to, hey, it's not that bad. Maybe I
It'll be
shouldn't do
fine.
this.
I won't go on windy days. I swear it'll be like less
Right.
than 10 miles an hour. I swear.
Exactly. But I got the drone, and my buddy was a real estate agent, and he's like, why don't you start trying to fly that drone for real estate? And at the time in the real estate market, they were just kind of doing exterior drone shots, but there was no real video on the insides of houses. There was just like pictures, nothing great. So I did the drone. Here's the greatest story. Before I started the video stuff, I had my midlife crisis because we couldn't have kids. So I bought a brand new Corvette. I only had it for a year because it was way too expensive. But I
But it
launched the
was a fun
drone
year.
up. Oh my God, it was so good. Launched the drone up, and I'm trying to get the shot I want for my buddy's house that he's trying to sell. And I back into a tree. The drone falls out of the sky and comes this close to my Corvette. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That just happened. Yeah, that was a mess. But anyways, fixed the drone, started flying real estate, and then I just, you searched online trying to find different things to do, and I started noticing cameras start to go inside houses to do the video tours. So I bought a camera and I literally taught myself everything on YouTube. I call it YouTube University. I learned everything about drones, everything about cameras, and I started just basically doing real estate videos for real estate agents. And then that turned into just me messing around, taking pictures of my wife and making these small videos for friends. And next thing I know, I started putting my stuff on Instagram and YouTube, and I just started getting phone calls, and um, the real estate kind of went out the window, and I kind of started shooting towards fashion. A production company came to Vegas. They saw a couple of my YouTube videos, and they're like, "We want you to fly the drone with a girl on a gown on top of a cliff or a mountain." And once they saw the rest of my stuff, they said, "We don't even care about the drone anymore. We just want you to film,
It's
just
awesome.
film everything for us." And yeah, it was a whirlwind. And on top of that, I mean, I guess forgot the most important part. Do you know who TJ Lavin is? The ex
Yeah,
BMX guy or BMX guy. He does the challenge show.
for sure.
Well, he's my neighbor. I met him through a friend, um, and it also in 2016 met him through a friend at a coffee shop at Star. We go to Starbucks with these old guys every morning, and we just have a blast. But he invited me to Thailand with him for one of his shows, and I spent 2 weeks in Thailand. I brought my drone with me, and I ended up giving the producer my drone footage, and he used it on the show. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I actually got to see what a production looks like,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
really got me more into it. And then 2 years later, I go to Spain, and this time they're paying me to fly the drone I spent about a month with them in Spain, flying my drone for the MTV show The Challenge.
Which is
So,
that's like the story you don't hear, right?
oh
Like here
yeah,
I am waiting for you to tell me you went to college for digital media, but then we're like,
yeah,
the 9/11 happened and the Air Force was calling, so I did that
yeah.
and forgot my passion and became a firefighter, and that became my passion. And no, instead you were like, I
No,
want to take
YouTube
videos of
University,
myself on cliffs doing handstands.
right? And after that, I did a wedding, and my wedding videos turned into like your typical camcorder looking down the aisle that people spend thousands of dollars for. That I make like these cinematic movie events. And again, these aren't my ideas. I just started looking on YouTube, trying to find videos that I like, and I would pick pieces from different videos, and then I'd storyboard them together. I'm like, okay, next time I shoot a wedding, I'm going to shoot it just like this. And it kind of just went through the roof, and I started doing weddings. And uh, I don't do weddings anymore because they're horrible. But I started doing that, and soon enough, this is where the story gets real crazy. Is that production company that was working the fashion thing in Vegas? It's called Magic. They asked me if I want to go to Iceland with them
Oh,
in two
dude, I
weeks.
was just there.
So it's amazing, isn't it?
Best
It's,
place
it's
I've ever been
oh
to.
my god,
Thus far,
expensive but
best place.
amazing, right? And then I went to Iceland, and next now I'm filming fashion in Iceland with just 5 Ukrainian models, and just like traveling everywhere, going from one end of Iceland to the other, just doing videos and pictures. And then as soon as I get home, um, I get a call from Manuela Testolini, who is Prince's ex-wife before he died. She was married to him before he died.
Okay.
Um, One of the girls that I was in Iceland with, she works with another foundation with this Manuela person, and she invited me to go to Africa. And I spent a month in Africa filming a documentary on building schools and teaching women how to sew so they can sew their own clothes.
All right, so this podcast has totally taken a different turn of where it was because I saw you had some amazing stuff, but now you have some amazing stories that go along with it. And I
Right.
feel like this part of your life, and I don't want to get too much into your personal life if you're not comfortable with it, but it kind of was born out of a not so good part of your life because my wife and I too we did deal
It
with
really was.
fertility issues, and I kind of know where that goes. You know, we were fortunate over time that things were able to help us, but so many of us in the emergency services, you know, not only do we deal with what we deal with at work, but then we have our own personal struggles. And when you put those two things together, that is like a recipe for disaster.
It really is. Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah.
you were able to kind of really turn that in a way that I don't even think you thought it was going to be a turn, right? Like,
No, I had no idea. And everything, it was like a snowball effect. One turned into the other. And like, who can say that from YouTube, I flew a drone for MTV to I'm in Africa with Prince's ex-wife filming documentaries. It was, yeah, it's hard to explain.
yeah, and it's not. And I
I,
should
I
say this
actually
too.
lost you on my
We got me now.
you broke. No, you're completely gone, and you sound like a robot right now.
Oh, that's interesting. How about now? Nothing has changed. You
No,
get me
let me
now?
see. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say nothing changed, so
Gotcha.
that
Okay.
could have just been you. We'll see. We'll see how it goes in the in the editing process, right? If they catch
Yeah.
on to that, because I'm looking and everything is still showing me it's all good. Um. So yeah, so you were able to take that and just kind of like I said, I don't think you knew it was gonna happen, right?
No. Had no idea. Had like again, I bought the drone to do handstands to go viral.
But then through YouTube too, and I talked about this with our mutual friend Brett a little bit about like YouTube University and what you can learn from there.
Right.
What I think is crazy is my son. So I have two sons. My older one is in eighth grade. He took digital photography, and now he's taking digital music this semester. And
Hmm.
for digital photography, I'm like, "What do we have to get you a camera?" And he's like, "No, we all just use our phones, Dad. It's just use your phone. Duh, it's digital." It's like,
Right.
okay, I feel like an idiot, right?
Well, I mean, think when we were learning how to change oil or whatever, we get those big books from AutoZone that Jeep Cherokee for dummies, basically. Now
Yep.
they can go on YouTube and watch a three-step process on how to change the oil. Unfortunately, today's youth, they don't know how to change
They're not
oil.
looking at how to change the oil.
No, they're not. They're looking on how to go viral, like I was as a grown man.
You speak to that though. It's a little bit of a fireman thing though. When you go to like a car accident, it's like a brand new car, and we open up the hood and we all just stand there and we're like, "It's a big piece of plastic. I don't understand what to do
Yeah,
here.
right. Exactly.
What is this?" And then someone will be like, "Hold on, I'll Google it. Like, where is the battery on this car?"
Yep. That's it.
But I mean that going viral too. I've been I guess in the 10 years I've kind of been in the social media arena, I don't think I've ever gone viral. I've had some good things really work out
Mhm.
well for me and been able to kind of do what you did, where you parlay that into the next thing. And it's something that, again, explaining to kids now, you have to do that. You can't just give up on one big thing.
No, no. I mean, every successful person failed how many times,
Yep.
right?
And so
So,
that's a huge part of it too. And then also when I'm looking at your story, like you put yourself in those positions. Like clearly one of the models you worked with was like, this dude is a little bit something different than everybody else. Let me
yeah.
tell someone else about him. And you just keep growing, which kind of along the wedding line. I know a couple wedding photographers, one who happens to be a firefighter who now does not do weddings anymore either because he's like, this is horrible. I'm never doing
They
this again
are.
in my life. But, you get that kind of that's the best kind of word of mouth.
Yeah. And even to this day, I never advertise. I only work through word of mouth, especially with this new position that I'm in as a PIO. I don't have a lot of time anymore. So now I get to pick and choose the clients I want. And speaking about what you were saying, how, the model saw something in me, that day I was out there shooting with them in Vegas when they wanted me to go to Iceland with them. They actually already asked another person to go to Iceland with them. And then over the weekend I was working with them, they, I mean, he was equally as good as doing videos and photography as I was, if not a little bit better. But I just seemed to be a lot nicer. They chose me because of my personality, basically. So, and I
Which
took that, and they even told me that when I was in Iceland, they're like, you were just so easy to work with. The other guy
Yep, and,
wasn't that
and and I
easy.
can say
So,
that from my end of working with producers and photographers, and going to a project where I don't know the person is filming anything or something, and there's a lot to be said for that. How you act in public and how you act towards the people you're working with.
there really is. And us being, firefighters, I consider the fire department a customer service, right? That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to people's houses and we're providing them a service. I've been nice to people my entire life, but I've learned how to be really nice to people, except especially for those calls that really shouldn't be calls. You kill them with kindness, and I take that very serious, and I try to kill everyone with kindness because you don't know the day that they were having when they were being so angry. Everyone's battling their own demons at some point, so kill them with kindness. Go back to the kitchen table at work, and then let it all out at the kitchen table with the guys that saw everything.
I feel like that kill 'em with kindness, though, that is something you get in about like year 6 or so, maybe 7. Because, in the beginning, you're just so amped up.
Right.
Like I can almost tell you the fire I was at where I realized it was the fire was out, right? So we were done with our big, the adrenaline rush of it. And we started helping the folks get some of their stuff out of the house. And it meant so much to them because a lot of the population where I work, it's a single room occupancy. Their entire life is in that room right now. So whether it be a TV, whether it be a phone charger, some clothes, whatever we can do to help them. And when you take that type of an attitude and put it into everything you do, it really changes you.
It really does. Yeah. And again, like I always think of like running calls. You're going to that person's most intimate situation. It's when they're there. It's like they're in a dire need for something. They called 911 and they trusted you, not knowing you. They could be hoarders. They can be really poor. They can be rich. Doesn't matter what their demographic is. They called you and they trust you the second you walk through that door. And like to break that trust by being angry with them, I think that that would be a big mistake.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes too, it's not even anger, even though I know it's anger, and I've been angry and I've
Two
seen anger
o'clock in the
come out.
morning. Yeah.
I've seen
You
it. It's
called
it's
for a
always going to come
toothache.
out. But it's also that focus, right? Where like you get focused on the situation, not the people. And it's sometimes because the people necessarily don't have to, you can fix the situation, you can't fix the people. So let me fix this.
Right.
And then
Right.
you're just kind of standing there, right?
Right. Yeah,
And it's very hard
exactly.
to teach that skill, and I'm trying now because so I have 20 years on the job and I'm a captain.
Okay.
So part of my day when it comes to teaching the younger generation that part of my job, it's not just how we're going to force the door or how we're going to do this. And to be dead honest, most of them are teaching me how to do it with newer techniques that they learned on
Right.
YouTube. Right. And I got to take that more now. I feel like my goal is that like, hey, look, I got to be a little nicer to these folks next time. Or like, did you see the way I talked to those people? Like, I was really annoyed at them. Could you tell? Because I don't feel like they could tell I was annoyed at them. Then was I? You know what I look like annoyed. And it's a good give and take. I feel like in society these days.
No, it is. And with the young guys, you have to make that example because like that's why I hate when the young guys go to the real veteran stations and then they fall into the pitfall of everyone griping and complaining. And I'm like, guys, you can't do that because now they're going to gripe and complain for the next 30 years. You got to show them everything, show them all the positive. And then what I tell new guys is when you're vested, then you can start talking shit back to us. Until you're vested, you just give it 5 years. I go, always stick up for yourself. Don't let yourself be bullied, but just wait 5 years. Like if I see a new guy sitting at the kitchen table and they're complaining about upper management, I'm like, guys, you're not there yet. You don't even know this person. Your complaint is from a guy that's been on 20 years that's complaining, and you're just mirroring what he says. You need to be on 5 years to form your own opinion.
Yeah, and that guy that's been here 20 years has worked for 7 different battalion chiefs and 9 different
Exactly.
captains and worked with different
Yeah.
people and did these
Yep.
things. Like you can't just base it off one person that you've worked for. You know what I mean? Or
Exactly.
one situation. It's not going to work well for you.
Exactly. Because
Like,
we all get them. We have the positive people, we have the negative people, and you just gotta just lead them down the right path, I guess.
yeah, no, and that's a big part of it too that they don't really tell you about when you sign up for it, like that this is going to happen. And again, you can't blame the new person because they're just so excited. I mean, I still remember the
Yeah.
excitement and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
there.
They're
And I
giant.
get to
They're
see it
giant
when we
sponges.
hire new people. Yeah. They just want to
Yep.
learn, man. They just want to have a good time. They want to do the job. They want to do it well. And then I look back and I remember that. I'm like, Jesus, what happened to me?
But 20 years though, that's pretty good. 20 years
It's pretty
already?
good. I got 5
Yeah,
more years to go. We
that's
can
awesome.
retire at 25, which is crazy to think that, but it was just the other day was 20 years for me. Um, so it's pretty good. It's been a ride, I can tell you that much. And then I've been kind of 10 years in this social media game with starting a not for profit and getting involved with all that. And Instagram was so different 10 years ago, and I try to teach people that all the time. Like, it is not what it was. You have to look at it through a different lens.
Yeah, it really, and that's kind of what our city management is now seeing because our fire department social media, I've grown it up to 30, almost 37,000 followers,
Which
and
is
the
huge right
city's,
now.
yeah, it's huge, and the city's social media, they're at like 6,000, and they're kind of put a lot of pressure on me because they got jealous about how much attention I brought in the fire
Yeah, yeah.
department, and they were upset that they weren't getting that type of attention. And I like now I'm actually advising them. As of a couple of weeks ago, they kind of asked, "Hey, we need your help." So I kind of just had to explain to them, we are part of you. Your social media isn't pictures of City Hall. Your social media is fire, parks and recs, police, public works. Your social media, your direct page should reflect a little bit of everybody, not just pictures of City Hall. And that kind of like blew their mind. And actually, just this last Thursday, I was out filming with the North Las Vegas Police Department, just doing simple little why did I want to be a cop, trying to bring attention to why people want to be police officers, and it's actually going pretty crazy for them right now. So now they appreciate it. I told them when they're like giving me crap about it, it's like that's like yelling at your second kid. Like we're all part of this together, you know. So one of your kids is really successful, the other one isn't. Does that mean that the
You're
successful
gonna
one
beat
is a
them
bad
down.
kid? No.
You have no
So,
chance.
but we're all finally getting along, and we're actually pushing the city forward.
But
So that's always good.
I think that's a big thing too, because in the past it was always, well, you're fireman, everybody loves you, and you're good. Obviously
Mm-hmm.
the police is a little bit different, but that's not what society wants anymore. They want stories. They want to
Yes.
see your sanitation worker who the little kid brings a cupcake to every Thursday. The stories that
Exactly.
I see on
Yeah.
social media, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Always. And then that's what some police departments, when you see the viral videos with the cops playing basketball or playing catch with the kids, some city, they won't let you do that. They're like, oh, you're on
Yeah.
duty. You can't do that. We're encouraged as a fire department to, if we see kids playing basketball, to jump out and play basketball. And it's not like they're telling us to do it. It's something that we've always done. So I asked them if they allow the police to do that. And they said, absolutely. So it's another great thing about North Las Vegas is they're embracing their employees to go out and do stuff to get it out in the community. And which what makes that makes my job easier because now I have a story to tell without looking for a story.
Yeah. And really, it's not even a story. It's just what you do, right? Because I
Yeah,
can't tell
right.
you how many guys I got that I work with throughout the years that, like, there's kids playing a pickup football game on the street, and one of these guys is out there playing with them. And when I became a boss, I'm like, oh, please don't turn your ankle. Please don't
That's
hit a
it.
kid by accident.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yep.
Because I'm looking at it through that end, but it
Yeah.
means so much to those kids.
It
And
really does.
again, when you get to 20 years, some of those kids are like, I remember when you came to my school and now they're working for me type thing, where I'm like, oh, cool. I guess we did something good that day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a warm feeling you get. And that's why being a firefighter is such a reward. It's like there's so many moments like that where you get that warm feeling.
Yeah, and you don't even notice it sometimes. Like when I look back, like we make a joke, we were at a community festival, this is going way back, and there were kids racing, just like 50-yard dash races. And this one kid was smoking everybody. And like I'm a fitness guy and a runner and things, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
man, I'm not going out there. And one of my other guys was like, I could take him. And we're all like, let's go, man. Let's get money on this and let's go. And he's like, well, there's a fence between us and him. And the excuses started. But we still talk about that day
I
that he
love it.
said he could
Yeah.
take this kid. I'm like, that kid is basically like Carl Lewis out there. And
Yeah,
you are
right.
not. You're the
He's
refrigerator
going
Perry and
quick.
he's Carl Lewis. Yeah, like let's really
Yeah.
talk about it. But those types of moments are things that you remember. And trust me, if he went out there and got smoked by that kid, the kid would have definitely remembered it. And well, we wouldn't have let him forget. So
Yeah. And if he ever joined up on the fire department, he'd be like, oh yeah, I beat you. So, and
you'd
isn't it
never
funny how
forget that.
competitive we are too? It's like I'm 47 years old, And I've been filming the academies a lot. And I'm like seeing these kids run through these things. I'm like, I could do that. I could beat them. And then I come to realize I've got 3 minutes in me. After that 3 minutes, I'm sore for 3 weeks. So
But that's all you
I
need,
will
though.
beat
That's
you in
all
the
you need for
first
the
three
glory.
minutes.
You only need the
Yeah.
3 minutes for the glory.
Yeah. That's it.
We
But
do that too. We run our
yeah.
state PPT testing, and the guys that are in there working it are all like, there's always one cycle. Somebody's always like, "Oh man, he said he was going to do it. You think he could have done it?" And I'm like, "He probably could have done it faster than all of them, but he would have been done forever if he did it. Like, you just
Oh,
got to go
yeah.
that one time, man. That's it."
Yep. That's it.
So that's cool, and just again the fact how far you've come and what you're doing now for your department. So that PIO job, we talked a little in the beginning about it changing. It went more from like you're just not briefing after a fire or an incident, and you're just not sending out press briefs to you're actually storyboarding your department essentially, right, for the public.
Yeah. And do you remember how whenever a PIO would come in before it when I was younger, everyone just kind of scattered, right? Everyone scattered. Nobody wanted to be on camera. Nobody wanted to be on the news. We just like would run. Well, now because of our social media presence and with this new generation that enjoy and already know, I mean, they grew up with the camera. When I come, they're excited to work with me. They want their 15 minutes of fame, and I'll give it to them every time. If they have ideas, hey, give me some ideas. Let's do it. If they want to do something funny, they want to do something serious, let's do it. And we usually get it done in a day.
Yeah, because that algorithm is always changing, and no one's going to deny that it exists for what you see. I think the best comment I actually got from a recent guest was, the algorithm is showing you what you want to see, though. So if you keep looking at positive things, you're going to keep seeing positive things. You keep looking
Yep.
at negative things, you're going to see negative things.
Yep. That is true. I got your audio still, but I lost you on the
Oh
camera
man,
again.
it's got to be coming on your side though, so I think we're still
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Because
No
again,
worries.
in the technology world, technically, I'm supposed to be recording myself and you're recording you, so all of it should be there. We'll see. I'm
Yeah, it
excited
should
to
be
see how
there.
this works out.
And
um,
to follow up on some of the video stuff because of what I did on my off duty side, what this has done for the fire department. My first few months in, we had a new academy start, and I told the fire chief that I wanted to film this academy like a reality show and put it on our YouTube channel. And like, I want to show the good, show the bad, show people get fired, I just wanted to show everything. He agreed with me. And after the first two episodes that I put on YouTube, a streaming network called the First Responder Network, they called me up and they aired all 12 episodes on their network. And
wow.
that alone just made our recruitment go up. It's insane how they can actually see how it's a paramilitary organization. They can see them get yelled at. I always ask the person if they were, we're not allowed to say fired, non-confirmed, if they were being let go, um, if I can film them in that process, and I'll do it tastefully. Some said no, which I'd never filmed that part, and other people said, of course, because I want other people to learn from my mistakes. And tastefully, I did it. I'd mic them up, put them in the chief's office where they were getting that conversation, and I would just have the camera aimed at the door, and we would just hear the audio, so we wouldn't really see their faces or whatever. And that really got the audience. They're like, wow, they're showing what it's really like. And yeah, 12 episodes on a network, all because of something that I learned on YouTube on my off-duty time.
That is so
So,
awesome. And you said that word in there, that tastefully word, right?
mhm.
And it almost makes me, just me being my bleeding heart self, I'll put my nice side. Like I feel bad for that person that's like, I want somebody to learn
Yeah,
from what I
exactly.
did so they don't repeat it. And then you're like, oh, but you're still getting non-confirmed right now.
Right.
Like,
Right.
like this
And
sucks. Whatever you
and
did
that
is
the
it's what's going to happen.
yeah, and believe it or not, that specific person was invited back for the next academy. Unfortunately, they didn't make it again, but they had the opportunity to come back. So,
And those are the
and
things that are going to happen too, right? You,
mhm,
you want to be honest because you don't want to tell people, everyone that starts here on day one is going to finish if you know that's not the case, right? You don't want to set people up for that denial or that like, they have to work for this and it may not work out for you.
yeah, And
But
yeah,
also
and
don't give up either. That's the other big part of it. To have that person come back again, like hopefully they went somewhere else and maybe it worked out for them there.
right,
You never know that, and it's
right.
something they'll always have to look back on as a moment.
Yeah, and now in this also, they don't have an excuse not to know how tough it is because pre having all this stuff on social media, if we have to hire more medics in the academy because we're really low on medics, everyone thinks it's a free pass. Like, hey, I'm a medic, I'm going to pass no matter what. Well, now they have no excuse. They see how hard it is. They see how physically demanding it is. And when they can't do anything physically, now we can say, well, you told me you watched the series, you saw how hard it was. And then all they can say now is like, yeah, but I'm a medic that can't do the job. So
It doesn't
see you
doesn't
next
work
time.
well here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work for us.
Right.
Maybe you missed that part of that documentary. Maybe you tuned out for that part there. But it's
Yeah.
a big deal, right? Because you're like you said, you're showing the good, the bad, the ugly, and I think that's what basically a documentarian's job is, right? It's not to
Hmm.
make it all peaches and cream.
No. And we get the B-roll, pump the B-roll up to motivate them to think it's like, it's funny when I was in the, when I was in the Air Force, before I became a fireman, I tried out for pararescue and I didn't make it through the entire course basically. But we got in trouble this one day where someone actually urinated on the side of the wall and got busted instead of going inside and using the bathroom. So Sergeant Pope, he ran us just like we were in the movie Navy SEALs. I mean, we're carrying the Zodiac with people on it. We're doing push-ups, like running through thorn bushes. We're doing everything. And this one moment sticks out to me. He goes, and he had throat cancer before, so he talks like this. He says, "You guys thought this looked cool when you were watching Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, didn't you?" And it was miserable. But if you see those B-roll segments, you're like, I want to be a Navy SEAL. This is awesome. But then when you're in it, doing it, you're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Totally a bad day. Totally the day you didn't want to be there,
Yep.
especially if you're the guy that pissed on the side of the building and
Yeah,
now
right.
everybody's paying for it.
Oh, it was a miserable time.
You should have just paid for it yourself, or just you should have just peed on yourself, buddy. Life would have
Right.
been an
Yeah,
easier day
just
if you
let it
just did
go.
that.
Just
Like,
let it out.
just let it go at that. Well, too, like, and that would be one of the most elite training pipelines out there when it comes to
Mhm.
the special forces. So congrats to you for making it however far you made it. Um,
Yeah, that day was the day I failed out, and it wasn't because of the run. You have to do a metrics conversion and a dive physics test. And as soon as we finished that run, we had to wash the sand off in like 20 seconds and go take that test. And I failed the test twice in a row. And they're like, you're out.
oh, just like
But
that, man.
I ended up being a fireman, which just
Ain't that
reinvigorated
bad.
my passion. So it's
Not
it's
that
not
bad,
that
buddy.
bad.
Not that bad. They
Yeah.
actually, so I've, they came to New Jersey. They would send them when they were doing their paramedic time. They would send them
Hmm.
down to Camden, New Jersey for a while. And so I knew some folks that were like precepting them in there and just being like, dude, this is crazy. These guys are becoming a paramedic in 2 months. It takes us two
Right.
years. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is,
It's
but too, even that documentary, like there's one about the pipeline with
mhm.
pararescue men that I think actually my sons have watched that one with me now too, or on their own. But it's so interesting to be able to see that. And I think for a kid now, like now that I know about your documentaries, even people I know around here who contact me, like, I want to be a firefighter. Go watch this. Like,
Yeah.
really go watch this. Like, this is good stuff. Maybe every department is not like this, but this will give you a little bit of a start.
Yeah. Exactly. And every department doesn't have to be like that, but just show what you're doing, get people interested.
Yeah, no, it would be like we started running our own recruit training school. I don't know, 7 or 8 hire groups ago now,
Mhm.
and it's grown. And kind of what you're saying, if we were able to just show these kids a video now to be like, look, this is what they do the whole time. This is what they're learning. This is them smiling. This is them sad because I've been there
Yep.
both days. This is someone who forgot their accountability tag one day and now they're wearing a piece of cardboard with their name on it that's dragging on the ground because it's so big, and why they're doing that. But I think that
Yep.
would be really beneficial for anyone to be able to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just like go through the comments of our social media or even those videos, you'll have the naysayers like, why did you have to be so hard on them or whatnot? we don't even have to respond to those. Other people come in and respond to it. And that actually boosts our algorithm up. The more arguments we get, the further my videos get pushed, or our
without
videos
even
get pushed.
responding to
So
it because someone else is doing it for you. It's
yeah,
really
so
interesting. We had that issue, and again, this is going back, Facebook days 9, 10 years ago with 555 Fitness, that people would start to bash us about firefighter fitness. Like why
mhm.
you wouldn't want a healthy firefighter, I still don't know, but whatever it is. And in the beginning, we were commenting, and then it got to be a point where other people started commenting, and we're like, well, we don't have to comment anymore because our fans and our followers are
Yeah,
very politely or in an educational way engaging with that person and
yeah,
explaining to them why they're still wrong.
yeah. And the thing that was eye opening to me on that, and I've had arguments with the city before because of those comments. They don't want it. But one of my first videos, I did this segment called "Cooking with Kenny," and we just had a 3 ingredient meal when you don't have time to cook, how to put it together. But it had Italian sausage in it, and a vegan actually got on and went off. Well, I thought you guys are supposed to be healthy and blah blah this, blah blah that, and they just went off. And I didn't type one word. I mean, all the other fire departments all around the country they just went off on this guy, and I just sat back and I was just like, okay, all right,
Here it is. Here it is. Because, and again, too, like with social media, never read the comments. That's for sure. I learned that. I got featured in the New York Times, and I learned to not read the comments on that one because I'm figuring like, oh, New York Times, it's not going to be like a Facebook page of bashing me, and
nope.
it was, it was
The trolls are everywhere.
right, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes, right? But it's that feeling of like, listen, people are going to hide behind their keyboard. There's going to be keyboard warriors. We all know it now,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like just within the past year, at least on the fire service side, we're seeing more people talk out against them and post things like, "Don't
and
do
and that's
this."
the thing. It's always the minority that has the loudest voice, and they get whatever they want. Well, now that we have people responding back to that small minority, because if it's one person says one thing, and then I have 100 people sticking up for us, and when I have that argument with leadership, I'm like, one guy versus a hundred, one person versus 100 people, like, whose side are you going to take? Who do you think's right? And then they're basically slowly starting to understand.
And generally,
Understand.
none of these folks are from your city or your department anyway. They're from wherever
No.
they are and wherever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane.
My favorite is they all have private profiles. Like you
Yep.
go to click on them to see anything about them, and there's nothing there. And I'm
No
like, come
picture,
on, man.
2 followers. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't post anything, but I want to comment on anything, like because that's
Yeah.
what my son was on a few episodes back, the 13-year-old, and they learn about digital security in
Mhm.
school and being safe on social media and things. And even he's like he'll read some of the comments on stuff I've posted, and he's like, "What is wrong with these dudes, Dad?" Like, don't even pay him any mind, buddy. They're just gonna
Yeah.
yabber on.
Just let them go.
It's pretty cool too, though. I had noticed before we even, when I started following you, most of your personal social media is just great artsy pictures and videos. It's very little of the fire service end, which almost excites me more because you're not doing what the typical person would be doing if they were in your job.
Yeah, I'm not like on my Instagram. I've put a couple fire things on there because if I made something cool for the fire department, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just throw that on mine. Unfortunately, I've been so busy as the PIO that I've let my social media, slack off. So I'm only posting like every couple months or something. My stories I'll try to do every few days, but I've got 3 years left, and then 3 years I'm retiring. I'm just going to do this full time. So
Nice. I mean,
I
just even
will.
the consulting end of what you can do when you retire
Yeah,
with your knowledge now, right?
and that's actually what's been happening now. I have fire departments all over the country calling and asking for advice. I was on the Primary Complete podcast, the North
Oh yeah,
Carolina firefighters,
I
a
was
few
on
months
that.
ago. Yeah, just when we were just talking about recruiting, and it's like they can only get 75 people to apply. Like, that's the same situation we are. So yeah, I could absolutely go around and help assist other departments, and just, I don't know. I just want to teach them how to tell a story, and just teaching that one person how to tell that story, they'll blow up.
And It's such a big part of it because even I didn't understand it when I thought I understood how it all worked. And then when I
Mhm.
kind of got involved in this public end of what it is I'm doing now, and I've been really fortunate to be featured again, like I said, the New York Times, a Verizon wireless commercial that went a completely different way than I was cast for, because the director wanted it to go a different way and saw something in me and eventually made me cry on camera.
All
And
right.
like, yeah, there's a little tear. A little tear came
You'll
out talking about
you'll
my
have to
wife.
send me that video.
He got the lip quiver right in the
Oh
close up
yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
And like to talk about being on set with cool people and things, all these folks and out in LA, they were all very interested because this was still in the pandemic. We were getting tested every day to be on set and things. Um, they were all so interested in me and being a firefighter, and I'm so interested in them. I'm like, what do you do? You're the grip. I've seen the grip. What's the grip do? Tell me. How does this work? How does that work? And it was that back and forth that I think helped make that ad spot just what it really was for me and them.
I think I know the exact ad you're talking about. I do.
It was
I
an
do that because it was
experience.
it was right in the middle of 2020 when Verizon
A
was
little beyond then. 2021. I'm in the
2021.
big white wall is there. My wife is there. It's an experience.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, okay.
But
I,
right,
I
but when
remember
you
that the Verizon campaign that they were
yeah,
doing for that. Yeah.
that storytelling that you're doing and you're going to now eventually hope to teach people and help people do, it's such a big thing and can do so much for everyone else and the people that are in the campaign.
Hmm. Yeah, and like what I'm telling the city right now, trying to help them build up their social media. It's like funny attracts people. I was like, try to get your videos on a rotation. Do a funny one because that's going to get you the viralness. That's going to get you the followers that click it right off the bat. Then do something touching, and then out of all those people that just followed you, the people who are really interested will be touched by that story, and then do an interview type video. And doing a rotation like that, you get the funny thing is going to get you the followers. The touching thing is going to cement that those people that just now trust you to tell stories, they're going to stick around. And then the interview is going to let those people understand who you really are or who that person in that story really is.
It's giving it away for free, folks. That's the secret sauce right there, I feel
Yeah,
like, right?
right.
And
Whoops.
it's all right though, because there's
Yeah,
way more that goes into it too. But that's
there
it,
there
right? You
is.
you need to definitely though have that because if you're always serious all the time, it's not going to work. If you're
Yeah.
always highlighting the negative, it's not going to work. Again, and I'm sure I don't know who does it for the FDNY, but whenever they get some kind of a rescue, whether it be fire or EMS, they highlight that crew within 72 hours. If they
Yeah.
have like an off-duty CPR safe, they highlight that crew.
Yeah.
They highlight what they're doing in the community.
And that's brilliant because again, everyone thinks we just sit on recliners and play pool. They don't. It's crazy to this day. People still don't understand how much EMS the fire service does nowadays.
Yeah.
97% of our calls per last year's statistics were all EMS, and people are calling 911 nonstop.
It's crazy that people don't understand what EMS does still to this day.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
It's
Like
true.
in reality, like, I mean, it was born in the 60s, I guess, late 50s, early 60s, and people are still like, whatever, those ambulance drivers, that's what they call us, the ambulance drivers.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
You
don't
guys
mind
hire
me.
medics? Yeah, we hire medics. Yeah.
The 2 years of school I went to become a paramedic and racked my brain learning all of this stuff. Not just an ambulance driver. I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
But it's something else that can be highlighted that really should be. The fire
Mhm.
medic end of what your job is where you are. We don't so New Jersey, a very different place. We don't have fire medics. But you highlighting that is going to teach people like, oh, this is what really goes on. And hopefully the folks that are taking your job are understanding what they're getting themselves into, because that's another
Yeah.
misnomer, right?
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. I think when I got on this department, what 18 years ago, we weren't a transporting department, and then we evolved into transporting, and then we took it away. We always had a medic on every single rig, and we worked well with the privates. We both respond, but in the end, we put them in the back of their box, and we go
Peace
home
out.
after a 15-minute call. Now we're transporting, so it's different. But yeah, seeing that evolution of the older guys still going to gripe and complain about it, but the new guys are brought into this transporting, so that's all they know.
Yeah.
So now they're just happy about it. Well, I wouldn't say happy, but they still want that fire.
Most definitely, but at least again, it's a huge transition to go from non-transport agency to transport agency because that is a huge part of EMS that most firefighters, like we do first responder program, and we'll
Mhm.
jump in and go with them if they need help or drive or
Right.
something. But it is nothing like working on a bus for 12 hours and doing 18 calls.
No, that's crazy. And each call, I mean, it takes a long time to drop someone off at the hospital, and you know, it actually kind of ruined the kitchen table a little bit because before a call 10, 15 minutes long, now sometimes the turnaround's 2 hours. So you get back, you're having a cold dinner now, or you're just going to eat out. So
Yeah, where you
that's
got to do your
the ups and
report.
downs of transporting. It's great for the community. It's great for the patients. The motivation for the firemen, it kind of takes a little spark away. But like I said, our guys are getting used to it, and we adapt and overcome everything.
And that's it, right? You're getting used to it. No one said, again, it was going to be peaches and cream when they walked in, and
Right?
it probably took a lot of adaptation to it.
Yeah.
There's anything does that's new. So it's cool to see it moving forward at least, and to know, you guys are having a big success with it.
Yeah. It really is.
Listen, man, this has been a great hour, Jake. I
I,
learned so much more about you, and I'm so excited you took the time out of your day to come on because it's early in the morning where you are, and you have a big week this week where you are. So I'm sure you're going to be a little busy with the game in town.
yeah. Actually, I did the opening. I got free tickets to the opening night media day. Got to walk around that last night. That was pretty cool. Just watch Patrick Mahomes talk on the at his presser. That was kind of nice. Although I'm rooting for the Niners.
Well, kind of West Coast moreish than anything else. So you may
Yeah,
as
I got
well.
to do it. I'm a Patriot fan, true and true. For being from Boston, but I'm not a Chiefs fan.
Come on, man. You couldn't have like wormed your way in to be like PIO North Las Vegas
I
Fire. I got a question for you, Patrick. So
if if I had I have a little media pass, but I left. I got the ticket same day. My buddy called, hey, I got a free ticket. You want to go? I would have tried to push. Oh man, I should have. If I had a few extra hours, I probably could have got it done.
Travis, I heard you wanted to be a firefighter. What do you think about
Yeah,
that? Like,
I I actually wanted to go in with my microphones and just ask everybody baseball questions.
be like, so
See
at the
how far
firehouse,
that would go.
baseball is a much bigger sport than football. So let's talk baseball right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are the things too that like you doing that at an event like that is viralness without viralness. One
Yeah,
video, you know what I mean, could get more people interested in your department, more people in your community interested in your department, and they can learn some things, hopefully to,
yeah,
to save themselves or save someone around them.
yeah. I agree.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you too long because I'm sure you got a busy day of handstands on cliffs or something like that you have to go do, which
Yeah,
I,
I'll have to rethink that one. But no,
I
hey,
like
I
that
appreciate
idea.
the time. I really
No,
appreciate the time.
no, man. And I'd love to finish up with this. Like, it's supposed to be a quick 10 questions. Sometimes they're quick, sometimes they're not. So if
Yeah,
you wouldn't mind hitting the size of
yeah, let's
10 with
do it.
me,
Yeah, let's do
cool.
it.
All right, man. Beach or mountains?
Oh, that's a tough one. I got to go mountains though.
I see you can't really, handstands on the beach are boring anyway. So
All right.
night out or night in?
Night out.
Really? See, most people when they stall with the question because they want to say they want to go party with a night out, but they go with night in because they know the truth that they'll be in bed by 10. So I'm proud of you for
Yeah.
that. A good book or a good movie?
I am a movie guy, but I also like a good book. Nah, I'm still gonna go good movie.
Stick with the movies.
Yeah.
A cross country road trip. Who is your celebrity co pilot?
Hmm. Does it have to
Alive or
be
dead?
but does it have to be like a movie star or just
Nope,
a
it could be
celebrity?
anybody, any famous person that,
Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, there's a good one. It's a good one. I ran into him a few years ago at an event. Very, very nice guy to meet really
Yeah,
quickly to bump into. Do you make your bed every day?
I do.
Of course you do. You were in the military. What's a book everybody should read?
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor.
Oh man, dude, this guy, he's like, you're like an onion with layers. You're gonna have to come back on because there's way more going on behind the camera. Nobody wants to talk to the guy behind the camera, but now I do. So, what are you gonna take if you had a choice? Highways or back roads?
Back roads.
A bucket list place to visit.
It's actually the last continent that I haven't traveled to, Antarctica.
Like, see, so many more continents, man. We got Africa, we got Iceland, and now we got to get to one more place. So I'm in. If you book the trip, I'll go with you.
All right.
All right. Football or football?
Oh, football all the way.
And last one,
Yeah.
the best advice you could give to your younger self.
You can't move forward looking in the rearview mirror.
I like it.
So live in the moment.
I like it a lot, man. You know, you can learn a lot from what you did in the past, but you can't just keep staying there, right? You got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good one, and that is a great way to end. So, Jake, appreciate you coming on today, man. I look forward to learning some more about you in the future too. This has been a great hour.
I appreciate you. You have enjoy the rest of your week, my man.
Awesome, man. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Have a good one.